In this video, I'll be reviewing a DIY product, and I have the device right here in my hands. As you can see, this is a DIY handheld console, expertly crafted by a master in China. This particular device truly pays homage to the Nokia N97, so many of its intricate details are quite similar to it. Let's delve into its features now. The entire front face of this machine is dominated by a touch-sensitive display. It's already been pre-fitted with a screen protector, which gives it a really sleek and polished look. Moving to the side, you'll find the volume controls and the power button, along with a potential speaker grill or ventilation opening. And then on the other side, there's a TF card slot, or rather a SIM card slot, and two shoulder buttons. You'll also find a heat dissipation vent here, a USB-C port, and on the opposite side, another USB-C port, along with an additional vent. The top portion similarly features a design incorporating vents and speaker grills. So the device's back features a glass panel. On this back panel, individuals often have the chance to apply UV hot stamping. However, as this particular unit is simply a metal device, it unfortunately doesn't support a customized UV hot stamping service. Now, if we proceed to slide the screen open, then, once the screen is slid up, you'll find a full row of buttons hidden within the slide-out mechanism. These include a multi-dimensional D-pad, the familiar ABXY buttons, dual start and select buttons, along with L3 and R3. Additionally, there's a vertical arrangement of 3 distinct function keys. So what exactly are their functions? I'll need to conduct some research, but you can also map them directly within the game, thereby providing 3 extra buttons. As this device, regrettably, does not support joysticks, L2 or R2, its overall button configuration remains quite restricted. Let's examine the entire device once more. The particular unit I've acquired is a pure silver, all-metal construction. Apart from the SIM card slot, which isn't quite the same shade of silver, the remainder of the casing seamlessly blends together. It provides a rather enjoyable tactile experience. If we hold it vertically like this, what do you think it resembles? Perhaps a compact power bank, wouldn't you say? Because there are several power banks available on the market that share a similar footprint and dimensions. Turning our attention to the back of the device once more, we can observe that it's labeled as the N97 Elite, and it further features the distinct year 2025. It features an emblem, a totem-like visual representation for the Fangtang Alliance. Furthermore, this particular section utilizes the genuine N97 slide mechanism's hardware and firmware, which is why there's a prominent N97 identifier, along with other details like its specifications and model name, all clearly displayed on its surface. It is indeed an original component, and it truly evokes a sense of homage to the original design, reminiscent of the genuine article. Now let's slide the screen open to fully examine the device itself. This screen in particular is somewhat elongated and narrow in its aspect ratio, so for those playing regarding 3DS games, you have the option to configure a horizontal side-by-side display setup. Now let's delve into the about information for this particular device. It was engineered by taking a WING W20 model and extensively customizing it. As for its internal specifications, we'll examine them shortly. Let's revisit this. So, continuing with its specifications, under general management there are 3 options. The first is the battery. If used normally, it can last for a considerable amount of time. However, its battery capacity is only a little over 4000 mAh, so if you're playing games, it will deplete rather quickly. The battery life won't be incredibly extensive. Now let's turn our attention to the storage. This unit boasts a rather large storage capacity. My machine features 512 gigabytes of storage, which is more than enough for installing games, storing videos, and all sorts of other files. You can save quite a bit, making it a distinct advantage. So, moving on, let's delve into the RAM. This device features expandable memory through virtual memory allocation. We've already boosted the virtual memory up to 8 GB, and when combined with its inherent 12 GB, this readily provides ample capacity to effortlessly meet the requirements of all sorts of gaming experiences. So that's a general overview of this machine's current specifications. The core chip utilized in this device is the Snapdragon 855 Plus. For everyday tasks, it remains perfectly adequate. However, if you intend to run some of the more resource-intensive emulator platforms, it will likely encounter some performance challenges. Regarding this particular machine, it has Its peak performance currently seems to only reach the PlayStation 2 level. Plus, since this device is missing some buttons, you might not even get a good experience playing PS2 games. That pretty much sums up the current situation. So after covering the advantages and unique characteristics of this device, it's now appropriate to explore its various shortcomings. The first drawback in terms of its imperfections is still related to the physical design. For example, these beveled edges. As you can observe, these are very standard, sharp, right-angled bevels. As a result, when you touch them, they feel quite harsh and uncomfortable. This is something I've actually pointed out previously when I discussed the AP. Personally, I'm still not fond of these rather hardcore right-angled chamfers. I sincerely hope that in their next iteration, be it an N97 Plus or a Max, they'll implement some improvements in that specific area. That's certainly one of the device's more uncomfortable facets. Now, my second concern lies with its button arrangement. Now everyone, observe the button layout. As you can see, the buttons are still situated on both sides quite close to the edges. And then the shoulder buttons are located on both sides, which means that while playing, your hands will need to be held up to operate them. This also applies here. Another reviewer has already brought this issue to light. Personally, I think if you only have one shoulder button, you might want to consider moving it a little more inward, something along those lines. When playing, shift the buttons slightly inward. This small adjustment would likely enhance the overall experience, as it allows both index fingers to align more closely and makes them significantly more comfortable to press. This approach is much more ergonomic than the current setup, where both hands are extended outward, a configuration that can easily lead to considerable fatigue during prolonged gaming sessions. And if you wish for greater comfort by attaching a grip, then this device unfortunately sacrifices its portability and ease of carrying. So that presents a rather significant design flaw, you see. How shall I phrase this? It's quite clearly a noticeable design flaw. This particular problem probably won't be fixed anytime soon, because the device's exterior shells have already been fully produced, so this is simply how it must operate. Yet I personally feel it impacts the tactile experience somewhat, thus posing an issue. Furthermore, another minor point to consider is its metal shell. Now, because this is a DIY 3D printed item, the tool marks on it are still quite distinct. For example, right here there's a very clear tool mark. I'm not sure if everyone can see that specific point as I bring it up close. Do you see that issue? If this were a shell costing just a few hundred yuan, then we might still be able to reluctantly tolerate it. Yet this particular casing already surpasses 1,000. For a device costing over 1,000 yuan, if it still uses a CNC milled shell like this, I personally find it somewhat disappointing. I also hope that DIY enthusiasts will exercise greater vigilance in quality control for this device. If there's a problem with the printed shell, I believe they should still be able to negotiate with the third-party business that handles production to ensure the shell can be made to a higher standard. Because if the quality isn't good, people can certainly request a remake, and I'm confident that the manufacturer should be responsible for that cost. It must be taken into account, as it is, after all, completely damaged. Everyone can plainly see that this is clearly broken. If the buttons are indeed broken, and it's still sent out, I believe that this shows a lack of respect for themselves and also for the person buying this handheld console. I really wonder what everyone's thoughts are on this matter. So, this device, that's everything I wanted to discuss. The overall aesthetics are truly impressive. Although there are various minor problems, I personally believe it's a wonderfully enjoyable device to tinker with. What are your thoughts? This concludes our video. See you in the next one.